This is Marcus Washington from Making the Cut with your Capital Dome Sports Report. Figured that we go and tie up some loose ends, especially in college basketball. We'll start off with University of Maryland, where it was announced yesterday that Mark Turgeon had been given an extension through 2025, 2026. It makes sense. His name was floated around for the Texas job, Oklahoma job. Don't know really how accurate those things were and how deep the interest was in Turgeon. But the University of Maryland decided they were going to take no chances, sign him to an extension, and he has some momentum going here. Fats Russell and Qudus Wahab is transferring in to the university, and they're going to be joining guys like Aaron Wiggins and Eric Ayala and Dante Scott. Now Maryland looks a lot different. An experienced team, finally something addressing that point guard position, and frankly, getting a rim protector in Qudus Wahab and a presence in the paint, something that hurt Maryland at times this season. They hope that Wahab is the solution. Wahab had his measure of success at Georgetown that he hopes continues to Maryland, and certainly Turgeon hopes the same. Now, there are a couple of Terrapins. There's three Terrapins in the transfer portal themselves. Daryl Marcel, your Big Ten Defensive Player of the Year, he has indicated that he is moving on. Charles Merrill, the big man who doesn't seem to fit into the system and fit into the future for the University of Maryland, and Anquan Smart, announced today that he was going into the transfer portal. So Maryland, again, even with those guys not coming back or looking like they're not coming back, the Terrapins definitely have a future that looks bright going into the Big Ten season next year, having addressed some of those holes. Georgetown, on the other hand, they might be the team, shockingly enough, that has had the most, the least change outside of Wahab. Georgetown's roster has been pretty solid of what they thought was going to come back. They're coming back, which means the Hoyas might have some continuity coming into next season. Now, the big question is, how do you replace Wahab? You have Eagle F.A. and Malcolm Wilson. Neither one of them, frankly, offensively can match what Wahab does. Eagle F.A. would have to try to find a way to stay out of foul trouble. Malcolm Wilson has hardly played, which makes you think that Ryan Mutombo coming in, that there are going to be minutes and opportunities for him to get some playing time very, very early. Also, you have to ask about the freshman return. And Dante Harris was the only one who really got a lot of playing time. So the question becomes, can Jamari Sibley and TJ Berger and Colin Holloway and Kobe Clark, are they ready to assume minutes that they didn't get this year? And if so, how can they handle those minutes? Are you hiding them? Are you giving specifications? Can they play all around games so you keep them out on the floor in all kinds of situations? This is something that is too early to determine. And then, of course, we've heard a lot about the incoming class. Tyler Beard and Jalen Billingsley coming in, along with shooting guards Jordan Raleigh and Aminu Muhammad. All those guys have gotten their share of attention and hype, along with Ryan Mutombo coming into the year. So Georgetown also has questions, but they also have stability, something that Patrick Ewing needs coming off of a win in the Big Ten tournament, yet a one game and out in the NCAA tournament. Up next, we're going to be talking about the changes at George Mason and updates from George Washington. Today, George Washington announced a new head women's basketball coach, Carolyn McCombs. She comes from Stony Brook, where she rebuilt that program, got them into the NCAA tournament. So George Washington's women's program has a new coach. Like I said, she was announced. She had her press conference today. It was actually announced a few days ago. So they made it official today. Over on the men's program, they have 3 recruits coming in. Ira Bell is coming in from Arizona, Joe Benisal coming in from Virginia Tech, and Brendan Adams from UConn. All those guys figured to come in and make instant contributions, as George Washington has had some players that are in portal. Ace Stallings is there, and and Chase Parr, both of them, Stallings and Parr, are still looking for places to land. But Sloan Seymour is headed to New Hampshire, Lincoln Ball to American, Jameson Battle to Minnesota, Maceo Jack to Buffalo, and Jameer Nelson to Delaware. Those guys will be leaving the university. They have found other places. So that George Washington will have a different look, a drastically different look than they looked this year in the Atlantic 10. And Jamion Christian will have his work cut out for him in the sense of during the offseason, getting these guys together, deciding what sort of style of play these guys fit into, and so on and so forth. It was disappointing to see some of those guys leave because they had been here and they looked like they were going to be big time parts of the solution, especially someone like Jameson Battle. But this is just this is what college basketball is today. So the portal is certainly that is alive and well. There's more than 1,000 kids in the transfer portal. So George Washington certainly isn't the only team out here who has several kids who have been in the portal, either looking for places or have found a place. Like I said, this is what makes Georgetown so unique. They have one kid in the portal, and obviously Wahab is a big kid and has found a place, but they don't have 6, 7 guys in the portal like so many schools have. George Mason, again, last week, 2 weeks ago, they solidified their coaching position in hiring Kim English. And English, over the past few days, has filled out his coaching staff with Dennis Felton, who has all kinds of head coaching experience, especially at Western Kentucky and Georgia. Also, Nate Tomlinson, whose specialty really is international recruiting, which makes you think, are we going to see a different type of recruiting at George Mason where they're not necessarily dependent on the DMV, that they're really expanding out to international, something that, quite a few years ago, George Washington was doing with incredible success when they were making it to the NCAA tournament and they were a major player. I mean, they recruited internationally very, very well. Then, of course, Dwayne Simpkins, he's a holdover from the last staff, deep ties to the DMV here, which makes you think that they're still going to target those WCAC kids. Certainly looks like George Mason has tried to increase these last few years. But I'm telling you, the prospects of recruiting internationally to George Mason, a university that could certainly handle it and accommodate it socially, academically, and athletically, it tends to get you a little excited to what this program can be beyond just trying to recruit locally and regionally. So again, players in the portal for George Mason, Lysander, Reinstrom, Ian Boyd, Tyler Kolek, and Jordan Miller are still all trying to find places. Obviously, Kolek and Miller are the 2 big names. You would like to see them coming back, but reports are out there that Kolek is actually getting pinged by some Power Fives. So when you think about it that way, if he's being pinged by Power Fives that can get him an active role, I wouldn't expect for Kolek to come back. But Kim English did convince Josh Oduro to come back, which was big. I know that was one of his big targets, to convince Oduro to go get out of the portal and come back. And I'm sure he's still actively re-recruiting Miller to also return to the university. And there's a few George Mason players who have already found a place. If you saw late last night, early this morning, AJ Wilson looks like he's heading to South Carolina. Javon Green is headed to South Florida. Greg Calix to Bryant. So those guys won't be returning and have found other places here to transfer to. So again, haven't done a DMV report in a while, Capitol Dome Sports report in a while. I'm going to try to do this more often as the Nats season gets cranked up and we start getting to the NFL draft with the Washington football team here and the Baltimore Ravens. So expect more of this for our Capital Dome Sports Report. This was episode 7. You can always find these on my YouTube page, and now we're going to live stream them. As time goes on, certainly we want to try to have some live guests join us, some guys who are deep in covering sports here in the Washington, D.C. area, Virginia, and Maryland, for those who are not familiar with the term DMV. So again, join us at on YouTube. Just put in Making the Cut with Mook. You can always find me on Twitter at MTC with Mook. Also, that's my handle for Instagram. So thank you for joining us, and we'll see you again soon.